Well, I've got 2 years of experience working in Beijing.
I have to say, our customers are mostly Chinese, so...
Streamline workflow.
See that? Fresh ideas from our young talents. As for you...
Actually, I have to tell you something. You're due soon, and with everything that's been going on...
That was interesting. So, we don't usually have females on our team.
Amos? Amos?
But we believe you will drive our business to greater heights.
Your proficiency in the language will be useful here. Welcome on board.
Your experience will help turn these ideas into reality.
We want to promote you before you go on your maternity leave.
Thank you.
Let's update our mindset and actions to
So, I will explain the summaries of the articles. But before that, I will explain what is workplace discrimination. Workplace discrimination involving unfair treatment based on gender, races, language, age and disability employee, where it affects the employee well-being and organizational success. Both articles are explained on how workplace discrimination happen in Malaysia. So for the first article is from Straits New Times 2018. Stated that workplace discrimination happen in Malaysia is very common, and it can be happen either on public or private sector, and it become culture among our employee. The article also state that lack in language, different culture and bias in gender is something common in the workplace. So for the second article, it's from the Star 2025. The article stated workplace discrimination that happened towards disabilities workers, which is he has qualification in master in counseling psychology and having provided over 2,000 hours of counseling to more than 1,000 patients. His application for a permanent position was rejected by the Public Services Commission (SPA) because of he has autism.
The first problem is gender discrimination. What is gender discrimination? Gender discrimination is when women get harassment at the workplace or get a low pay rates. Why this happen? When we know that the statistic women go to university and get education is more than men, but why at the workplace rate women go to work is very low than men? This happen because when women experience discrimination quietly, and when women want to report this matter to their employer, always tend to side with male employees because they think that woman is very weak, woman cannot handle the pressure, and so on. Next is women choose to stay at home rather than be with the workplace because they feel safe.
So next, I will explain language discrimination. What is language discrimination? Referring to the law 2016, language discrimination can be happen when a person is treated differently because of her native language or other of her language skills. So for example, if one company, their first language is English, but some of their employees cannot speak English well. This is how language discrimination can be happened. Also, language discrimination can be happen when a company has multiple races. So for example, it's from New Straits Times 2018, where one of the employees from property development company who has experienced language discrimination at her workplace, when most of her colleagues is use Mandarin language as their first language. It making worse when their superiors also use Mandarin during the discussion or meetings, because they think that most of their employees understand Mandarin, so they use Mandarin. This will give impact to the employee when the employee will feel stressed and left out because they cannot understand what their colleague and their superiors instructions. Employee also inability to complete their task efficiently because they did not engage with their colleague.
The next one is disability discrimination, improvement in recruitment or selection. So the first one is hiring system. So the organization should review automate recruitment systems to ensure they do not unfairly reject candidates, especially with those disabilities, and that selection is based on relevant criteria. The second one, the blind recruitment. So the personal details like name, gender and religion are removed, so employers or the manager itself only focus on candidates' abilities, so reducing bias in the selection process. And the third one is competency-based selection. So candidates are chosen based on their skill, qualification and experience rather than personal characteristics, ensuring a fair and merit-based decision. And the last one is structured interviews. So all candidates are asked the same set of standard questions and evaluate using a consistent scoring system, which help reduce interviewer bias and improve fairness. Next, I will talk about the party involved in both articles. So the first article involves employees as one of the main parties who are the victim of workplace discrimination. These employees may face unfair treatment in hiring, promoting, or daily work practice based on factors such as race, gender, or religion. They are the affected group experiencing inequality within the workplace environment. So the other main parties are employers or organizations who are responsible for making employment decisions and managing workplace policies. They may engage in discriminatory practices either directly or indirectly. So the government plays a role by providing legal framework to regulate employment practices. So this article highlights general workplace discrimination involving relationship between employees, employers, and regulatory authorities. The second article involved the plaintiff Chang Bao-zong as an autistic counselor who alleged that he was discriminated against when applying for a position in the public sector. He is a aggrieved party who brought the matter before the court after being denied employment despite having the necessary qualification. His claim is based on unfair treatment due to his disability status. So the defendant are the Public Service Commission Malaysia and the Government of Malaysia, which are responsible for recruitment into public service. So the High Court of Malaya act as the decision maker determining whether discrimination occurred. The case involved a legal dispute between an individual and government authorities regarding disability discrimination.
Next, I will explain the reasons behind the issue. So for the first issue is gender discrimination. Gender discrimination happen when traditionally people think that women are at homes and men are go to work. But nowadays, I think the statement is not suitable and is not valid anymore because nowadays women are also go to work as same as like men. Men also tend to look down on women, and they think women are less capable of working, especially in men's sector. So referring to New Straits Times 2018, female employees who get a promotion to lead the digital forensic as she passed all the requirements, but she did not get the promotion because of their superior thinks that women are not suitable to lead the digital forensic teams because of it was male industry. So for the second reason is motherhood and pregnancy. People think that women are more priority towards their children or family rather than their career. So since then, they think mothers are less likely to work longer or take on additional responsibility rather than men. So for the second issue is language discrimination. Language discrimination can happen when differences in language and workplace policies. So for example, if one company or organization, the majority is Chinese employee and there are some of few Malay employee. So since the majority is Chinese, they use their own language, which is Mandarin, as their first language. So that the others employee who can speak Chinese or Mandarin, they cannot understand what their superiors instructions. So for the second reasons is when the employer set up a policy where employee only can speak English, even is not essential for the task, and it will be a problem when the employee cannot speak English well. So for the last issue is person disability discrimination. The reasons behind this issue is when the employers are lack of knowledge and awareness toward the capabilities of disabled workers. This is because employers think that disabled workers cannot performing their work perfectly rather than compared to normal workers. They may not be able to complete the task like normal people, but the results are more better to normal people, and their achievements are more better. Furthermore, employers think that hiring and recruiting disabled workers needs more cost. This is because employees or organization thinks that they need to provide accommodations, proper workplace, or expensive software that is specialized for disabled workers. But the fact is, recruiting or hiring disabled persons is not costing like employers think. This is because the productivity was equal and seems like hiring non-disabled employees.
Next is an impact and implication to workplace discrimination. First is a mental health issue. Discrimination has affected individual psychology and become a mental health issue. Employees suffer anxiety, depression, and stress at work. The employee that face discrimination did not take any action to stop the discrimination because they don't want to lose their job. They need money and they need to survive. This so it will make the employee have a mental health issue, and they feel fear and they cannot overcome this situation. The second is a high employee turnover. As I mentioned at the problem gender discrimination, that women get low pay rates. This happened at the men because the changing on consumer behavior to another trend is make that the company need to change. The company cannot stay at the business only. They need to grow. They need to do something. So in that situation, the employee will take a new employee and will they will quit the non-motivation employee. Employee choose to quit because they led to the motivation to continue working and cannot longer withstand the pressure in the workplace. For example, for the nowadays that the Gen Z work, and for the situation, for example, the situation is that today the employer raise their voice towards them, and tomorrow Gen Z quit the job. because they cannot stand the pressure. They have no motivation. They don't want to face the work discrimination. This happen. And lastly, is the organization suffer with unethical employee. What happened is organization lost trust with the client, and the organization or the company have no opportunity to grow. Why this happen? Because when the good employee who get the discrimination quit, and only in the organization have left the unethical unethical employee, or no have and the employee that no have professionalism. So when the newcomers come, they will see that the company don't value any ethical at the workplace, and this will make that the company have a bad name.
Next is a recommendation from workplace discrimination on how to solve our problem. First problem is a gender discrimination. Okay, how to solve it? First is the Malaysia government implement more robust legal frameworks and take decisive regulatory measure. For example, take strict action towards the employee that discriminate another employee. Second is to ensure women return to work after childbirth. We can see that the most employer do not want to take any woman that have son that have a child, because they want to any problem after that. So when women have a maternity leave, their job is protected and secure. And third is to employee to ensure the employee respect each other and can work together. And lastly, to ensure that employee maintain a disciplined attitude and demonstrate professionalism in the workplace.
So to implement language discriminations, employers must implement clear language policies, especially if the company has different races. Employers must decide whether the policy will cover just work-related discussion or social conversation in the workplace. This is very important because to avoid the employee feel excluded, or to ensure that both colleagues understand each other. So for example, employers can set up a policy where during working hour, the employee only can use only one language, because to ensure that the colleague understand and easy to interacting with each other. And after during working hour, they can use their own language.
The next one is disability discrimination, improvement in recruitment or selection. So the first one is hiring system. So the organization should review automate recruitment systems to ensure they do not unfairly reject candidates, especially with those disabilities, and that selection is based on relevant criteria. The second one, the blind recruitment. So the personal details like name, gender and religion are removed, so employers or the manager itself only focus on candidates' abilities, so reducing bias in the selection process. And the third one is competency-based selection. So candidates are chosen based on their skill, qualification and experience rather than personal characteristic, ensuring a fair and merit-based decision. And the last one is structured interviews. So all candidates are asked the same set of standard questions and evaluate using a consistent scoring system, which help reduce interviewer bias and improve fairness.
Lastly is in conclusion, workplace discrimination is a bad attitude shown by employers to other employees. This matter involve many parties and have long-term effect. So, employer must take an action and government must involve in this issue. If we do not take any action, we cannot tackle this problem. Also, workplace discrimination happen when employee who did not give their best at the job, at the work, and then burdening other workers. If no action taken, the we can see into the future that employees do not have any exhibit high level of professionalism at workplace.